Welcome to The Deep Dive. This is where we take all that information you've gathered, your articles, your notes, maybe even just questions bouncing around in your head, and we explore them together, really looking for that core wisdom. The goal isn't just info dumping, right? It's about sparking ideas and giving you stuff you can actually use. So today we're plunging into something that honestly kind of challenges how we usually think about influence and impact. It's called heart-led leadership. We're trying to get beyond just the job titles, the accomplishments, the KPIs. We're asking what really makes a leader when you strip all that other stuff away.
Exactly. And for this deep dive, we're leaning heavily on Tommy Spaulding's book, The Heart-Led Leader, Love, Service, and Impact. It's pretty powerful stuff. But we're also bringing in some other related ideas, trying to give a fuller picture.
Right. And our mission for you listening in is pretty straightforward. Give you a shortcut to understanding this whole approach. We want you walking away with some surprising insights, maybe, and definitely some practical things you can think about applying. Like, right away, it's a journey, this one. Makes you look inward first. So yeah, let's unpack it. Okay, so at the heart of Spaulding's idea is this metaphor, really. Life is an 18-inch journey, the distance from your head to your heart. Sounds simple, maybe a bit poetic, but there's a lot packed into that, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. It really carries weight. That 18 inches, it's not just a nice phrase. It's meant to be a fundamental shift. It suggests that ideally, your decisions, your interactions, they shouldn't just start from logic, like a checklist in your head. They should start from your core values, your gut, your heart. It pushes you to ask some big questions, like who are you really? Who do you actually want to become? What do you want people to remember you for, besides, your job title? Who is it you want to serve? Who do you want to impact? And maybe the biggest one, what is your leadership philosophy? And what's really interesting, as you said, is the focus shifts. It's not about what you do, what you achieve. It's about who you are.
Yeah.
The book calls it being a who leader, not a what
A
leader.
who leader. I like that. But it sounds almost countercultural, in a world obsessed with results, metrics. How do leaders, especially ones trained to chase outcomes, make that shift to genuinely prioritize the who over the what? Because the book puts it so bluntly. Success is about building hearts, not resumes. How does that actually work?
Well, that's the core challenge, isn't it? And maybe the beauty of it, too. It starts with wrestling with those questions we just talked about, seriously asking them. It's about realizing that your impact, the lives you touch, the trust you build, that's the real legacy, not just the bullet points on your LinkedIn profile. It requires a kind of internal recalibration,
Yeah.
And then that starts showing up in how you interact with people every day.
Okay, so if we're talking about being this who leader, leading with love, how does that play out day to day? It sounds a bit soft, maybe. Is it practical?
Oh, it's definitely practical. It's not about being soft in a weak sense. Love here is defined really clearly, an unselfish and genuine concern for the good of others.
Yeah. Think of it less as sentimentality and more like strategic empathy.
Strategic empathy.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And it shows up in really simple but powerful ways. Like the book says, giving someone hope or telling a person that he or she is important. That's the core of servant leadership right there. When you lead with that unselfish concern, your focus shifts. It's less about how can I win and more about how can I help my team win? How can we achieve this purpose together?
Yeah.
It means asking, how can I support you? Instead of just, what can you do for me?
And that last chapter of Spaulding's other book, it's not just who, it hammers this home. It says, it's not just who you know, it's who you are. It basically argues that your life's meaning isn't your network or your list of accomplishments, it's the impact you have.
That really reframes things, doesn't it? Moving beyond just networking and climbing the ladder to something deeper, more meaningful. Okay, speaking of deep, let's get into some of the core pillars, the building blocks of this heart-led approach. Humility comes up a lot. What's its role here? Humility is foundational. In this context, it starts and ends with one core idea. It's not about you. It's a deliberate shift away from self-centeredness. Rick Warren put it really well in The Purpose-Driven Life. He said, true humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less.
Thinking of yourself less, that's a great distinction. But isn't there a risk, especially in competitive fields, that humility might look like weakness or indecision? How do leaders find that balance?
That's a really important question. I think it boils down to confidence. But it's the confidence to listen, the confidence to admit you don't have all the answers.
Right. Which leads us, kind of paradoxically, to vulnerability, something a lot of leaders try to avoid. How does being vulnerable actually build trust?
It's absolutely vital. Spaulding argues, if you don't understand someone's heart, you won't ever have full trust. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, it does.
And the only way to really get to know someone's heart, to invest there, is, well, you have to show them yours. Being vulnerable helps build real relationships. When you open up even a little, it kind of gives other people permission to do the same. It shows you're human, you face challenges too. And the book points out that people are often defined by how they respond to adverse circumstances. Sharing those struggles or admitting mistakes, that's where real connection happens.
Okay, building on that authenticity, passion is another pillar. We hear follow your passion all the time, but what does it really mean here, especially when things get tough?
Well, the word itself is interesting. The Greek root for passion apparently means to suffer.
To suffer.
Yeah, which suggests that real passion often comes through hard work, through pushing through difficulty. But crucially, it never comes without joy. It's about deep commitment that fuels resilience. Think about Jay French from Twisted Sister, founder, lead guitarist.
Twisted Sister, okay.
Yeah. His story is wild. He started the band way back in '72. Took him 10 years. 10 years of grinding it out before they got a record deal. Then massive fame, right? But the band breaks up. Things fall apart personally, professionally. But he comes back, reinvented himself as a speaker and author. His journey just screams passion. Not just the fun parts, but the commitment, the effort, the ability to keep going through serious adversity. And always with that underlying joy in the work itself. That's what passion breeds.
That's a fantastic example. Perseverance fueled by that deep-seated passion, not just rah-rah enthusiasm. And that kind of commitment naturally leads away from self-focus, right?
No.
Towards the team, the collective. Let's talk about that we over me mindset. How does it contrast with self-serving leadership?
It's a fundamental difference. Heart-led leaders think in the we, while self-serving leaders are all about the me. Simple as that, really. A great example given is Bill Grable, the CEO of Grable Companies. Sounds like a classic Midwestern values guy. Honesty, humility, strong work ethic. He explicitly says, I'm interested in people. Our company is so much better off when our people feel valued.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And he believes leaders need to bring as many people into the conversation as possible. Make them feel part of it, valued. It creates that shared ownership.
And sticking with that we idea, what about respect? Usually we think of respecting the position, the title. How does that work in a heart-led way?
It flips it. The principle is respect the person, not the position.
Okay.
It's a big shift. Recognizing inherent worth in everyone, regardless of their spot on the org chart. And that kind of respect has to start with authenticity. You can't fake genuinely valuing someone. If you're putting on an act, people see through it. It means listening to the intern with the same focus you give a VP because you value them.
Seeing the person beyond the title. Got it. And the last pillar you mentioned was generosity. What does that look like in leadership? Is it just about money?
Not at all. The book breaks generosity into two parts. First, there's the compassion that fuels a desire to make a difference. You have to feel it. But second, and just as important, is the commitment that turns that compassion into action. You have to do something.
Feeling and doing.
Exactly. It could be giving your time, sharing your knowledge, offering mentorship, or just your undivided attention. It's not just about writing checks. And the source puts it starkly. Nothing better reveals who you are more than how you give to others. It's a real litmus test for a heart-led leader. How do they share what they have? Time, wisdom, spirit.
Okay, these pillars, humility, vulnerability, passion, we over me, respect, generosity, they sound powerful. But, the real world, especially business, can be tough. Let's talk about Cheryl Batchelder at Popeyes. She took over when things looked dire. Stock down, sales down. How did she apply these heart-led ideas in that situation?
Yeah, that's a great case study because it shows this isn't just theory, it works under pressure. Her strategy with her team was actually quite radical at the time. They decided to focus first on the franchisees, on the well-being, their profitability.
Not the shareholders first, or even customers directly.
Nope. The belief was simple, almost profound. If the franchisees are successful and feel supported, they will take better care of their employees. And those employees will then provide great service to the customers. It's like a ripple effect, starting from the inside out.
Interesting.
She apparently spends something like 40% of her time coaching her direct reports, serving them so they could serve others. Her core belief was that every person has value and should be listened to and cared for. It shows real strength, actually, to prioritize purpose and people over just chasing short-term profits.
That focus on the ripple effect is powerful, serving the people closest to the action.
Okay, let's look at another practical framework. Walt Rakowich at Prologis, his humble, honest, and human style. How did that translate into concrete actions? Rockowicz's approach provides a really clear, actionable model. Let's break it down. Humble. For him, this meant having the confidence to listen, really listen, respecting others' views, being okay with being vulnerable, admitting you don't know everything, and actively encouraging and empowering your team. It's about lifting others up.
Okay.
Honest. This was about transparency, communicating openly, even the tough stuff, maybe even when you aren't strictly required to. Because, as he said, when transparency isn't there, trust breaks down. Simple as that. Proactive truth.
Makes sense.
And
Yeah.
human. This meant being genuine, really caring for people. It extended beyond the office walls too, corporate responsibility, community outreach. He strongly believed that real leadership comes from making mistakes, admitting them, showing vulnerability, and crucially, learning from them. Because ultimately, he felt, what most people want in a leader is someone they can relate to, someone human.
Humble, honest, human. It's memorable. So, we've seen how heart-led leaders build trust. They foster passion. They think we, not me, and they get results. But what about the long game, the legacy? How does this approach ensure your impact lasts? It's easy to think a big title equals a big legacy, but that's not always true, is it?
Not at all. History shows that pretty clearly.
Yeah.
The book uses the example of some one-term U.S. presidents, Tyler, Fillmore, Arthur, Harrison, Pierce. Many got into office unexpectedly, didn't accomplish much. It just illustrates that it takes more than a title to create a legacy.
Right.
A real legacy is built on something deeper. It lives in the hearts and minds of the people you've influenced, the lives you've touched. And this connects, maybe surprisingly, to ideas like loving the unlovable and forgiving the unforgivable. Well, think about the capacity for forgiveness. Like Matthew West's song Forgiveness touches on finding that space in your heart makes room for compassion, for kindness. That leads to acceptance, grace, love. And the source says, when love shows up in our life, it changes us. And when we show up as love for those around us, we change them. That's the kind of impact that lasts. That's legacy.
Wow, that connects personal growth, like forgiveness, directly to leadership impact. It really brings it back to that deep human core. So if we try to boil it all down, what's the single overarching message here, the ultimate takeaway from heart-led leadership?
It sounds almost too simple, maybe, but the book concludes, whatever the question, love is the answer. Meaning you can't truly lead people effectively, sustainably, without loving them in that sense of genuine, unselfish concern for their well-being and growth.
Love is the answer.
Yeah. And when that becomes the central focus, your perspective shifts. It moves away from just yourself, your goals, your checklist, and towards a real desire to make a positive difference in the lives of the people around you. The book stresses, if we can create a culture where our people choose to impact others positively, then we will win for tomorrow. It's about building an environment where connection drives everything.
That's such a powerful idea. Shifting from a what leader to a who leader, it brings us right back to that 18-inch journey we started with. That journey from head to heart seems to define not just how you lead, but maybe how you live.
Exactly. And maybe that leaves a final thought, a question for you, the listener, to mull over. If we really do define ourselves by who we love and serve, and if we accept that whatever we focus on tends to grow, then how might just one small act today, maybe an act of courage or just simple encouragement, how might that ripple outwards? How might it help fulfill not just your potential, but impact others too?
That's definitely something to sit with. A real challenge for all of us listening. Think about your own who. How could you bring more of these heart-led principles into your life, your leadership? Remember that line from the West Point Cadet Prayer about choosing the harder right instead of the easier wrong? Food for thought. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive.